Qin Feng traveled through different eras. The upright dynasty was corrupt, the country was in turmoil, demons were rampant, and evil cultivation nurtured sentient beings. The people live in hardship. Fortunately, awakening one's divination talent, Qin Feng relied on his divination skills to seek good fortune and avoid misfortune. Shanjun's young child's heart *1, Emperor Yan's tripod building method *1. Let's see Qin Feng using his divination talent to roam freely in this chaotic worldFeilu novel. Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Seeking Good Fortune and Avoiding Evil, Mountain Kings and Demons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where is this? Qin Hao felt his head still feeling a bit dizzy. He raised his hand and rubbed his temples, trying to recall everything that had just happened. Unfortunately, my memory is broken and there is nothing left. He tried to stand up, but couldn't lift any strength up and down, and he also found that he seemed to have become smaller. This feeling surprised Qin Hao immensely. He lowered his head and looked at the ground. This time, he finally confirmed that he had truly become a child. He turned into a child. How could this be? Qin Hao's heart stirred up towering waves. Qin Hao carefully examined his body and found no injuries except for a few rags wrapped around him. What's going on? Did I cross over? How could I possibly travel back to ancient times to be a child? According to common sense, shouldn't I be reincarnated in the underworld? Has my soul gone to the wrong place? Qin Hao's heart was in a mess, he couldn't figure out what was going on right now. Suddenly, a pungent stench drifted into his nose, making him frown uncontrollably. Qin Hao turned his head and looked aside, only to see a huge corpse lying in a pool of blood not far away. The body had dried up and emitted a strong stench. Nausea. Nausea. Qin Hao couldn't bear the smell and almost vomited a stream of sour water in his stomach. At this moment, Qin Hao noticed two long swords next to the bones, which were rusty and even curled. Is this the sword that the man said? Qin Hao picked up a sword and carefully examined it. He found that although it was some years old, it was still incredibly sharp. Later, Qin Hao turned his gaze to the other side of the corpse. Strange, since it's a dead person, why is there still blood flowing out? Perhaps. Thinking of this, Qin Hao immediately widened his eyes. I saw that the abdomen of the corpse was pierced, and the intestines and internal organs were scattered all over the ground. In the center of the intestines was a crimson heart, which was beating vigorously at this moment. Qin Hao carefully examined the massive body for a while and found that it was actually the body of a tiger, but the tiger seemed to be so huge as if it had become a demon. Qin Hao stared blankly at the massive tiger corpse on the ground, with an indescribable shock and fear surging in his heart. He has never seen such a huge tiger, let alone this strange scene. The abdomen where the body was pierced revealed a terrifying scene, with intestines and internal organs mixed together, and the bloody scene seemed to come from hell. But the most shocking thing was the tiger's heart, the crimson heart beating, releasing a chilling aura. Qin Hao felt a tingling sensation in his scalp, and he couldn't help but take a few steps back, trying to stay away from this eerie scene. However, his heart was filled with curiosity and exploration. He wanted to know what the tiger had experienced and why it was so unbelievable. Carefully, Qin Hao slowly crouched down and carefully observed the body of the tiger. He found that the tiger's eyes were filled with endless sadness and loneliness, as if telling of its unfortunate experiences. Qin Hao slowly extended his trembling hand, attempting to touch the scars on the massive tiger's body. His fingers had just touched the fur of the tiger when suddenly a clear voice rang out in his mind. Is it divination? Qin Hao was taken aback for a moment. He had never imagined that there would be a sound echoing in his mind under such circumstances. Qin Hao quickly murmured in his heart, yes. The next second, a lot of information about tigers came to Qin Hao's mind, and at the same time, he also had some understanding of the fate of tigers. Originally, this is the legendary Mountain Lord, who is said to have survived the early period of the Dragon Han Rebellion as a demon tribe with a cruel personality and a love for killing. In a catastrophe, the Mountain Lord escaped and never appeared again. Unexpectedly, he died here. Obtain the heart of the young Mountain Lord. Qin Hao suddenly had a crystal-clear heart in his hand. Qin Hao widened his eyes and looked in surprise at the crystal-clear heart in his palm. This heart emits a faint glow, as if it contains endless power. He carefully placed his heart in the palm of his hand, feeling the faint beat. Suddenly, a mysterious message flooded into his mind. This was the heart of the young Mountain Lord, containing infinite energy and mysterious power. Qin Hao's heart moved and he understood the preciousness of this heart. This is the young heart of the legendary beast Mountain Lord, possessing unique energy that allows the holder to gain powerful power and mysterious abilities. He decided to keep this heart in his pocket, perhaps it could become a weapon for him to survive in this unfamiliar world. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Swallowing the Heart and Driving the Mountain Lord. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Hao was very excited as he looked at the information floating in his mind, and immediately decided to swallow this heart. Qin Hao looked at the crystal-clear heart in his palm, filled with excitement and curiosity. The heart of this young Mountain Lord contains infinite energy and mysterious power, making it an unparalleled treasure for him. Without hesitation, he thrust his heart into his mouth and gently swallowed it. In an instant, a blazing force burst out from the heart and instantly spread throughout the body. Qin Hao felt as if his body had been ignited, with heat surging out of his body, making him sweat like rain. Suddenly, a strange rune appeared before his eyes and disappeared into the air. In that moment, he felt an unprecedented force surging within him. The surrounding atmosphere also began to become eerie, and as the wind blew, it seemed to hear the roar of ancient monsters. And the tiger corpses on the ground also began to tremble, regaining their vitality like vitality. Qin Hao looked at everything in front of him in surprise, feeling as if he had gained some special power. A mysterious energy flowed through his body, making him feel extremely excited and fulfilled. Suddenly, a strong dizziness struck, and his eyes became blurred, gradually blurring his consciousness. He was on the verge of collapse, struggling to support his body, but unable to resist this sudden force. Just as he thought he was about to faint, a mysterious light burst out of his body, instantly enveloping the surrounding environment. A powerful force burst out of his body, like a long-dormant beast waking up, making him feel unparalleled strength and confidence. Qin Hao closed his eyes slightly, took a deep breath, and slowly regained his composure. When he opened his eyes again, he felt like he had been completely rejuvenated, with infinite power and wisdom hidden within his body. He stood up and felt the powerful force within his body. He knew that he was no longer an ordinary child, but had gained unprecedented strength and abilities. Qin Hao's face became serious. He knew his strength was strong, but he couldn't guarantee whether he could survive peacefully in this unfamiliar world. So, he needs to continue to enhance his strength and must become stronger. Suddenly, Qin Hao seemed to notice something and suddenly looked around. Qin Hao's face became serious. He knew his strength was strong, but he couldn't guarantee whether he could survive peacefully in this unfamiliar world. So, he needs to continue to enhance his strength and must become stronger. Suddenly, Qin Hao seemed to notice something and suddenly looked around. In the vast mountains and forests, a strange aura gradually became stronger, as if some unwelcome guest was quietly approaching. He looked around cautiously, only to see the leaves swaying gently in the breeze, and the sunlight shining through the treetops on the ground, forming mottled shadows. But under this peaceful scene, he could feel a faint crisis. Suddenly, a shadow passed before his eyes, and Qin Hao suddenly turned around, only to see a huge beast rushing towards him. That was a burly tiger, tall and with a fierce glint in its eyes. Qin Hao did not hesitate at all. He immediately took a defensive position, and as he inhaled deeply, a powerful energy began to gather inside him, forming a solid light. The beast opened its huge mouth and let out a deafening roar, rushing towards Qin Hao. But just as he was about to come into contact with him, a dazzling light burst out from the corpse of the mountain lord beside Qin Hao. With a huge roar echoing through the entire forest, a powerful energy was about to touch Qin Hao. In that light, the figure of the mountain lord began to slowly change, gradually taking on a dark form. Qin Hao was vigilant as he watched the sudden change, feeling a cold and gloomy aura permeating his surroundings. Just as he was preparing to face a new challenge, the ghostly mountain lord suddenly let out a deep roar, as if releasing an unknown threat to Qin Hao. However, Qin Hao was not consumed by fear. On the contrary, he felt a strange connection, a force beyond nature surging in his heart. He had a sudden thought and attempted to communicate with the ghostly mountain lord. With Qin Hao's teleportation, the figure of the ghost mountain lord began to fluctuate, seemingly following Qin Hao's guidance. At this moment, Qin Hao realized that he had the ability to drive ghosts. The ghost mountain lord turned to Qin Hao, with a hint of cunning and obedience in his eyes. Qin Hao felt the source of this power, which did not come from fear, but from the control and understanding of his own power. So, in this unfamiliar world, a special connection was established between Qin Hao and the ghost mountain lord, a symbiotic and coexisting relationship. He understands that the power he possesses is not only for countering external threats, but also a bond of mutual understanding and resonance with the world. The fierce tiger trembled and flew. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Closing the beauty head and entering yin qi into the body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the mountains and forests, Qin Hao and the ghost mountain lord established a special connection, filled with a wonderful understanding between them. The power of the ghost mountain lord became a solid backing for Qin Hao. With their joint efforts, the fierce tiger was ultimately killed and turned into a ray of light dissipating in the air. With the disappearance of the fierce tiger, the atmosphere in the mountains and forests became peaceful, as if returning to tranquility after a storm. Qin Hao felt the flow of strength in his body, and his connection with the ghost mountain lord became increasingly close, as if he had become a destined companion. Qin Hao came to the stream and quickly walked out of the mountains and forests by taking advantage of the direction of the stream's flow. The wind blows through the leaves, and green shadows dance along the path. The branches and leaves sway in the wind, like dancing graceful beauties. The gentle breeze blows, and the leaves make a rustling sound, like a symphony orchestra of nature playing a fresh and moving movement. A few rays of sunlight faintly appeared among the leaves, like fine threads woven of gold, scattering on the earth, illuminating with colorful light and shadow. The scene of the wind blowing through the leaves is like a magical painting, allowing people to feel the magical charm of nature. Suddenly, a faint sound of breaking ground echoed in Qin Hao's ear. Qin Hao, who was curious in his heart, turned his head in a gentle voice. In that second, Qin Hao, who was curious in his heart, turned his head in a gentle voice. In the peaceful scene by the stream, his gaze was suddenly attracted by a strange light. Not far away, there was a ghost beauty head hanging from a tree. The beautiful head may seem delicate and charming, but it appears exceptionally terrifying in this peaceful environment. Its eyes are like a pitch-black abyss, revealing endless strangeness and darkness. Lips are like blood-colored roses, but they emit a chilling evil aura. The hair of the beauty's head was like pitch-black crow feathers, swaying in the wind, as if a group of ghosts were whispering softly. The surrounding environment also added a strange contrast to the terrifying beauty's head. The leaves rustled in the breeze, as if they were the size of ghosts. The sunlight fell through the gaps in the leaves, reflecting the pale face of the beauty, which appeared even more incredible and magical. Qin Hao couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He felt the eerie aura emanating from the beautiful head, which was an ancient evil force that made people shudder. The ghost mountain lord beside him also felt this terror, and its figure fluctuated beside Qin Hao, as if warning. In the evil aura emanating from the terrifying beauty's head, Qin Hao's body couldn't help but tremble, and he felt an ancient and eerie force enveloping him. The beauty suddenly opened her mouth and let out a sharp scream, as if releasing a terrifying force. Qin Hao immediately responded by mobilizing his internal strength to prepare for this sudden attack. The ghost mountain lord was also on the side, its figure fluctuating, as if warning Qin Hao to face this evil from ancient times. Qin Hao refused to be outdone and joined forces with the ghost mountain lord to resist the attack of the beauty head. As the fierce battle continued, Qin Hao gradually realized how to use the power of a ghost to suppress the beauty head. He discovered that through his connection with the ghost mountain lord, he was able to drive away that ancient evil force. In the end, with the help of the ghost mountain lord, Qin Hao successfully forcibly subdued the beauty's head. However, this was not without cost. As the evil power dissipated, Qin Hao felt the severe decline of his own qi and blood, and his body began to tremble, his face turning pale. Although he achieved victory, Qin Hao knew that he must adjust his state in a timely manner to avoid being further eroded by this yin qi. He realized that the connection with the ghost mountain lord was not only a source of power, but also a dangerous burden. In this world full of danger and challenges, Qin Hao must always remain vigilant to protect himself from the invasion of evil forces. Qin Hao stood by the stream, his whole body shrouded in a faint mist. His originally handsome and upright body now appears emaciated, as if it has been stained with a strange layer of frost. His skin was incredibly pale, without any trace of blood, like an ancient statue abandoned by time. Yin energy seeped out from his fingertips, forming cold patterns like frozen rivers flowing through his body. His eyes became deep and cold, like lonely stars in the night sky, emitting an indescribable chill. His breathing was accompanied by waves of white mist, like a cold wind howling past from the underworld. Qin Hao's limbs were extremely stiff, as if bound by frozen steel. Every step seems to require a tremendous amount of effort, as if to break free from the endless entanglement of coldness. His heart beat slowly and heavily, each beat like a drum, conveying a suffocating sense of heaviness. The ghost mountain lord beside him felt the chill on Qin Hao's body, and it let out a low roar, as if feeling heartbroken about Qin Hao's situation. Its figure swayed in the cold wind, like a solitary lamp in the darkness, illuminating the darkness around Qin Hao. In this cold environment, Qin Hao felt the fragility and impermanence of life. Yin energy erodes his body, making his heart gradually become cold and lonely. He knew that in order to get rid of this coldness, he must fight with his inner courage and resilience in order to regain vitality and reignite the flame of hope in his heart. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Ancestral Manifestation, Mysterious Old Man Appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Here, Xiaohao is here, village chief. Xiaohao has fainted, something's wrong. Xiaohao's body is so cold that it feels like he just crawled out of the stream. Xiaohao shouldn't have been harmed by evil spirits, right? Roll on, roll on. Listening to the mixed voices of the villagers, the village chief leaned forward and leaned towards Qin Hao's neck with one hand, eating a black dog blood jar with the other, preparing to hit Qin Hao with the jar in his hand if something was wrong. Upon hearing this, the village chief couldn't help but roll his eyes and say, "What has been harmed by evil?" Xiaohao is well, but at night, he was soaked in cold water, and the cold air entered his body, causing his body to feel cold. Carry it to the ancestral hall, kowtow a few heads to the ancestors, and it will be fine. The village name is ignorant. If one knew that Qin Hao, an orphan whose parents were gone, was completely cold due to yin qi entering the body, they might not have directly suggested burning Qin Hao to prevent future troubles. Even if they had not received the great favor of Qin Hao's deceased parents, they would have done more than less. However, the only thing I can do is to bring Qin Hao into the temple and ask for the protection of his ancestors. As for the rest, it depends on Qin Hao's own destiny. The village chief ordered someone to carry Qin Hao, who had fainted, into the temple. There were traces of time left in the temple, and the candlelight was dim. On the altar, offerings were placed, emitting a faint fragrance. The ancestral tablets in the ancestral hall are devoutly placed on the altar, as if quietly watching all of this. As night gradually fell, the village chief gave a command, and the villagers reluctantly left the temple, leaving the village chief alone. He had a solemn expression, kowtowed 3 times, and recited the ancestral prayer passed down from generation to generation. Under the dim yellow candlelight, his figure appeared lonely and revered. The village chief's voice is clear and solemn, like the call of gods, like the cycle of time. He closed his eyes, clasped his hands together, and lightly touched his forehead, a devout expression emanating from his movements. In this mysterious and solemn ceremony, he seemed to transform into an envoy of his ancestors, conveying the devout hearts of the villagers. The atmosphere inside the ancestral hall gradually solidified, as if time had come to a halt at this moment. The candlelight on the ancestral tablet flickered, seemingly responding to the village chief's prayers. The air in the ancestral hall is filled with a mysterious aura, seemingly telling stories passed down from generation to generation, awakening the souls of ancestors. The village chief's voice gradually became low, but full of strength, with each word like a heavy stone pressing down on everyone's heart. His prayer echoed through the temple, as if it could penetrate the constraints of time and convey to the depths of the ancestors' souls. In this solemn atmosphere, the sound of the village chief's prayer gradually faded and was replaced by a solemn silence. A mysterious force permeates the ancestral hall, as if the souls of ancestors descended on the earth at this moment, protecting this village. The last spell came to an end, and the village chief slowly stood up, his forehead already soaked with sweat. He closed his eyes and silently felt the blessings of his ancestors, filled with awe and gratitude in his heart. At this moment, he knew that the gods of his ancestors would guard this land and this village forever. The village chief turned around and faced the ancestral tablet in the temple, bowing deeply 3 times to express his sincerest respect. Then, he slowly walked out of the temple, leaving a solemn and peaceful atmosphere floating in the air. On this quiet night, the deities of our ancestors slowly drift in the village, guarding all the people and protecting their safety and happiness. A warm force emanated from the ancestral tablet and slowly seeped into Qin Hao's body. Qin Hao felt a wave of relief in his body, as if he had been washed away, and a portion of his yin energy was cleared by the power of his ancestors. His face gradually regained its color, and his breath became calm. However, at this moment, a strange fluctuation came from Qin Hao's body. Yin Qi did not completely dissipate, but instead continued to breed in his body, like a stubborn venomous snake attempting to return to his body, causing him to feel a hint of anxiety and unease. The village chief looked serious upon seeing the situation and knew that it was not good. He hurriedly prayed for the manifestation of his ancestors, hoping that they could once again exert the power of the gods and completely eliminate the yin energy in Qin Hao's body. The atmosphere inside the ancestral hall became solemn and solemn, as if time had come to a halt at this moment. As the mysterious power within the temple flowed, Qin Hao felt that the yin energy in his body gradually dissipated and was purified by the divine power of his ancestors. However, at this moment, the yin qi that had acquired the ability of the Ghost Mountain Lord seemed to become even more stubborn, like a dark mass that could not dissipate and continued to surge within him. The village chief watched as Qin Hao's yin energy became increasingly stubborn, and an anxious expression gradually appeared on his face. He stood helplessly inside the temple, his eyebrows furrowed, his gaze revealing a hint of panic and helplessness. The stubbornness of this yin qi far exceeded his imagination, making him feel helpless and troubled as never before. The village chief is well aware that if the yin qi in Qin Hao's body is not resolved as soon as possible, the consequences will be unimaginable. However, facing this abnormal situation, he was at a loss and didn't know what to do. He once thought that the divine power of his ancestors could completely purify Qin Haozin Qi, but reality is far more complex and difficult than he imagined. Anxiety and panic surged in the heart of the village chief, who was anxious but helpless. He realized that his abilities were limited and he couldn't solve this tricky problem alone. In this solemn temple, he felt an unprecedented pressure, as if an invisible mountain was pressing on his shoulder, making him unable to breathe. At this moment, Qin Hao slowly opened his eyes, and everything around him appeared blurry and unfamiliar. He felt a wave of dizziness, as if the whole world was spinning. He tried to sit up, but was pushed back by an invisible force, leaving him lying there struggling weakly. "Cough, where is this?" Qin Hao's voice was weak and hoarse, and he tried to open his eyes wide, trying to see the surrounding scenery clearly. However, everything remained unclear, with only hazy shadows swaying in his field of vision. He tried to recall what had happened, but his mind was in chaos and his thoughts couldn't concentrate. He felt his body exceptionally weak, with piercing pain coming from every inch of his skin that he could hardly bear. "Thank you, ancestors. Xiaohao, you have finally woken up. How do you feel?" The village chief's caring and joyful voice appeared in Qin Hao's ear. Qin Hao slowly opened his eyes and felt a warm glow on his face, as if the care of his ancestors was guarding him. He tried to concentrate his thoughts, trying to recall everything that had just happened, but his mind was still in chaos, and he could only feel the surge of Yin energy in his body and the piercing pain in his skin. "Thank you, ancestors. Xiaohao, you have finally woken up. How do you feel?" The village chief's caring and joyful voice appeared in Qin Hao's ear, making him feel a touch of warmth and peace of mind. Qin Hao struggled to sit up, and the surrounding scenery gradually became clearer. He found himself lying on a soft cushion in the ancestral hall, with the ancestral tablet standing quietly beside him, emitting a mysterious and solemn aura. His body was still weak and powerless, but with the protection of his ancestors and gods, he felt the Yin energy gradually weakening and the toxins in his body slowly being expelled. "Village Chief, I feel better now, thank you, Village Chief," Qin Hao said with difficulty. "Fortunately, you woke up, otherwise I wouldn't know how to explain to your deceased parents." The voice of the village chief, "Tell me your fart," had not yet dissipated when it was interrupted by an old but full of confidence. The sound came from a corner of the temple, as an elderly man with flowing beards and bright eyes slowly walked out. He was dressed in an ancient Taoist robe, with traces of time engraved on his face, but his eyes were flickering with incredible wisdom and strength. This old man has a solemn and dignified appearance, with a strand of white hair fluttering in the wind on his forehead, like white clouds fluttering in the sky. His tall and upright body exudes an ancient and mysterious aura, as if carrying the sediment of time and the light of wisdom. His eyes were deep and bright, as if he could discern the truth of everything, making people dare not look directly. Wearing a black Taoist robe with exquisite patterns embroidered on its body, it reveals his noble status. Although the wrinkles on his face were deep, they did not conceal his innate dignity, but instead added a solemn and ancient charm. His temperament is like a calm mountain peak, suppressing the winds and clouds in all directions, displaying a transcendent realm and supreme wisdom. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Obtaining Cultivation Methods and Apprenticing Mysterious Elders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. His Yin energy enters his body. If he doesn't eliminate his Yin energy, his lifespan will be reduced by at least 10 years. In the future, he will become extremely attractive to evil forces due to the hard energy entering his body. There is no way to protect himself, and he will not survive this winter. That's enough, but there are still 5 or 6 months left for Shouyuan. Even the awakening relies on the divine will of our ancestors. I want to explain it to their parents and use it to repay their life-saving kindness. Your face is really big. Under the old man's flowing beards and bright eyes, the village chief lowered his head slightly awkwardly, knowing that what the old man said was not wrong. As the village chief, he indeed owes the kindness of the elderly parents, and this time he invited the elderly to help Qin Hao out of this kindness. The old man walked slowly to Qin Hao's side and scanned his body with burning eyes. As the old man gently placed his palm on Qin Hao's body, an ancient force suddenly entered Qin Hao's body. This power originates from the skills that the old man has practiced for many years, and is a unique magical ability of the disciples under the Yan Emperor's sect. Qin Hao felt as if the Yin energy in his body was being pulled by an invisible force, slowly condensing into clusters of faint black mist. A faint blue flame suddenly rose up, enveloping the black mist. This is the method I practice, which uses Yin energy as fuel. It can not only purify the evil energy in the body, but also improve my own cultivation. The old man's voice was deep and ancient, as if it was inherited from a long time ago. With the help of the old man, Qin Hao's Yin energy in his body gradually burned out, and the tingling sensation on his skin gradually disappeared. He felt a sense of coolness rising from the bottom of his heart, as if he had been reborn. At the moment when Yin Qi was under control, a familiar voice came from deep within Qin Hao's mind. Is it divination? He pondered for a moment before his heart moved. Qin Hao's heart moved, and he suddenly remembered his special ability. To seek good fortune and avoid misfortune. He closed his eyes and immersed himself in his own thoughts. In the depths of his soul, he felt the mysterious power, as if calling him to explore unknown possibilities. Slowly, Qin Hao began to calculate. His soul seems to have transcended time and space, entering a mysterious realm. He saw blurry images, seemingly indicating some future development. He felt an ancient wisdom guiding him, making him understand some things he didn't know before. Obtained the Yan Emperor's Ding building technique. The method of building a cauldron by Emperor Yan is a magical cultivation method that can use Yin Qi as firewood to forge a powerful cauldron inside the body. This cauldron represents Qin Hao's inner cultivation and strength, and it will gradually grow stronger as Qin Hao grows, becoming his protective weapon in the world. Qin Hao stood in front of the old man, feeling the coolness of his body being purified, and a sense of awe surged in his heart. He knows that in this world where evil is rampant, to survive, one must possess strong strength. Studying under a teacher is the best choice in his heart. Senior, the martial arts you have practiced are extremely magical. I want to worship you as my teacher and learn from you. Qin Hao respectfully bowed to the old man, and his admiration for him arose in his heart. A resolute expression appeared on Qin Hao's face, as he looked deeply at the old man in front of him with a flowing beard, his eyes flashing with awe and anticipation. The village chief looked at Qin Hao's resolute expression and felt a hint of relief in his heart. He knew that if Qin Hao could receive guidance from the old man, he would definitely achieve success on the path of cultivation. So, the village chief decided to help Qin Hao fulfill his wish and worship the old man as his teacher. Senior, this young man's name is Qin Hao. He is willing to learn from you and earnestly requests that you accept him as your disciple. The village chief said respectfully to the old man. I can take him as an apprentice, so let me cancel the debt I owe to your parents. The old man's voice was as calm as the flowing water in the mountains, yet it revealed an irresistible majesty. His gaze is deep and ancient, as if he can see through the heart, see through all hypocrisy and deception. Qin Hao felt as if the whole world had come to a halt at this moment, leaving only the old man's penetrating eyes and the gaze between them. In the old man's gaze, Qin Hao felt an inexplicable pressure, as if his heart was touched by an invisible force. The village chief stood on the side, silently watching this scene, feeling quite complicated in his heart. He knows that the old man is a difficult person to refuse, and once he makes a promise, he will definitely do it, regardless of the cost. At this moment, the old man owes his parents a favor, and he can only hope that the old man can use this opportunity to help Qin Hao. I can take him as my disciple, and let me cancel the debt I owe to your parents. The old man's voice remained calm, but with a determined tone. Upon hearing these words, the village chief breathed a sigh of relief, and the stone in his heart finally landed. He knew that although the old man seemed strange, he was a trustworthy person. Since he said he could accept Qin Hao as his disciple, he would definitely go all out to teach him. Qin Hao was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect the old man to agree so decisively to accept him as his disciple. He knew he had a rare opportunity to have a powerful guide on the path of cultivation. Thank you, Senior. Qin Hao said excitedly, with hope and determination flashing in his eyes. Qin Hao was extremely excited when he heard the old man's promise. He knelt on the ground and respectfully kowtowed 3 times, showing respect and gratitude to his master. The old man reached out his hand and helped Qin Hao up, with encouragement in his tone. From today on, you will be my disciple. I will teach you the methods and skills of cultivation. I hope you can study hard and live up to my expectations. Qin Hao, full of gratitude, solemnly agreed, Master, rest assured that I will practice hard and not disappoint your expectations. The village chief was also happy for Qin Hao upon seeing this. He knew that under the guidance of the old man, Qin Hao's future would be limitless. So the village chief bowed to the old man, expressing gratitude and respect. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Cultivating the method of Emperor Yan's Ding building. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Hao and the old man left the temple, walked through the village, and walked out of the dense bamboo forest. The sunlight shone through the gaps in the leaves, casting a golden glow on both of them. The old man's robe fluttered in the gentle breeze, appearing solemn and mysterious, while Qin Hao followed closely behind, filled with a desire and expectation for the path of cultivation. Qin Hao followed the old man, stepped out of the temple, passed through the village, and left the dense bamboo forest. The sunlight shone through the gaps in the leaves, casting a golden glow on them, as if favored by the gods. The old man was dressed in a long robe, swaying in the breeze, appearing solemn and mysterious. Qin Hao followed closely behind, filled with a desire and expectation for the path of cultivation. Through the bamboo forest, they arrived at an empty small courtyard. There are several simple wooden houses around the yard, which look a bit dilapidated, but in the center of the yard, there is a delicate small pavilion, surrounded by various strange flowers and plants. The old man spoke to Qin Hao and said, Listen up, your master's family name is Lu and his name is Qin Feng. Qin Feng stopped in front of the pavilion and turned to Qin Hao, saying, This is the place for our future cultivation. You should cherish this opportunity. Qin Hao nodded respectfully, his eyes shining with determination. He knew that receiving guidance and teachings from Qin Feng was an unprecedented opportunity and an important step on his path of cultivation. Qin Feng slowly sat on the stone bench in the center of the pavilion, gesturing for Qin Hao to sit opposite. The two of them sat facing each other, still and moving, as if it were another scenery between heaven and earth. Qin Hao, the path of cultivation is a long and arduous journey that requires perseverance and perseverance. You need to understand that cultivation is not achieved overnight, it takes time and effort to comprehend its mysteries. Qin Feng's voice was deep and distant, like the clear waves of an ancient well, making one's mind calm. Qin Hao listened silently, realizing in his heart. He knows that the path of cultivation will not be smooth sailing, but as long as he has firm beliefs and unremitting efforts, he can definitely overcome numerous difficulties and reach the peak of cultivation. Qin Feng continued, The method of cultivation is vast and profound, but one must treat it with a calm heart in order to take it step by step and fight steadily. Today, I will pass you a mental technique called Emperor Yan's Ding building technique. It is a mysterious cultivation mental technique that has been passed down since ancient times. Legend has it that this mental technique was personally created by Emperor Yan, combining the power of flames and the technique of casting cauldrons, and is the most advanced cultivation method. The mystery of this mind technique lies in igniting the power of flames within the practitioner's body, refining it into a special true element, thereby strengthening the body and improving cultivation. However, the Yan Emperor's cauldron building technique in my master's hand is only incomplete, and I will only teach you a part of it. To obtain a complete mind technique, you need to constantly explore your own path of cultivation. Qin Feng said to Qin Hao, "Kid, next I will teach you how to cultivate the essential techniques of the mind technique." Qin Hao felt a surge of excitement in his heart, knowing that he was about to embark on a brand new path of cultivation. Although the method of Emperor Yan's cauldron construction in Qin Feng's hand is incomplete, the method obtained through divination is complete. "Thank you very much, Master." Qin Hao said respectfully, his eyes flickering with anticipation and determination. Qin Feng nodded and gestured for Qin Hao to sit on the bed first. Qin Hao walked steadily towards the bed and sat cross-legged, appearing exceptionally focused. With a wave of Qin Feng's right hand, a strand of golden true element immediately rushed into Qin Hao's body. A warm force flowed through his body, as if igniting a flame within him, gradually spreading. In an instant, Qin Hao felt as if he had merged into the flames, with a blazing atmosphere permeating his body. Flashing flame patterns flashed in his mind, each representing a power and mystery. Suddenly, a severe pain came from within, like flames scorching every inch of his skin and bones. Qin Hao couldn't help but let out a muffled groan, but he gritted his teeth tightly and didn't flinch. The pain seemed to refine his body, washing every cell once. Qin Hao felt as if he had undergone a transformation, with his internal strength greatly enhanced, making him feel unprecedentedly powerful. The old man quietly gazed at Qin Hao, his eyes flickering with approval and anticipation. He looked at the fiery aura emanating from Qin Hao, as if seeing a future giant growing, and couldn't help but feel a hint of comfort and pride in his heart. Qin Hao closed his eyes and was enveloped in a slightly reddish glow. He felt the surging power within his body, burning like flames, and every inch of his skin seemed to tremble and accept this change. Qin Feng nodded lightly, sincerely admiring Qin Hao's determination and perseverance. The path of cultivation for young people is already long and arduous, but the resilience and courage demonstrated by Qin Hao are hard to ignore. As time passed, Qin Hao felt the flame power inside his body gradually stabilize and no longer be as violent as it was at the beginning. He gradually mastered this power, guiding and controlling it, allowing the power of flames to flow gradually within his body. Suddenly, a roar sounded, and the entire room seemed to be vibrating. Qin Feng furrowed his brow slightly, and he immediately realized the unusual aspect of this energy. No, this is the difficulty of the refining stage. Qin Hao, you need to concentrate and stabilize the power of the flames. Qin Feng's voice reached Qin Hao's ears, like a guiding lighthouse. Qin Hao's mind shook and he immediately mobilized the true element in his body, trying to stabilize the blazing flames. But the flame seemed to have its own life, struggling tenaciously, trying to escape his control. The intense pain struck again, as if an invisible flame was tearing apart Qin Hao's body and soul. He felt as if he was about to be engulfed by flames, with every nerve trembling violently and every drop of blood boiling. Sweat dripped from his forehead, soaking through his clothes, but Qin Hao gritted his teeth tightly, with a hint of determination in his eyes. He knew that the pain at this moment was the price of growth and the necessary path to strength. Qin Feng watched this scene, with a hint of worry in his eyes, but more of expectation and trust. He knew that Qin Hao was a young man who was unwilling to be mediocre. He had extraordinary perseverance and determination, capable of dealing with the current difficulties. In the intense grinding, Qin Hao's consciousness gradually blurred, and he felt as if he was immersed in a raging fire. But at the same time, his heart became increasingly firm and clear. He closed his eyes and took deep breaths, trying to stabilize his inner turmoil. He realized that only by persevering in pain can he break through himself and reach another realm. Suddenly, a powerful energy surged out of the body, shining like a brilliant star in the darkness. Qin Hao felt as if he had transformed into a celestial star, emitting infinite light and power. The power of flames flowed freely within him, and every meridian trembled as it received its baptism. His body seemed to be reshaped, with every cell undergoing renovation and shining with vitality. A hint of surprise flashed in Qin Feng's eyes as he saw the dazzling light emanating from Qin Hao, as if a true practitioner had spread his wings and flown. He knew that Qin Hao had already embarked on a journey towards the pinnacle of cultivation, and the future would be limitless. Qin Hao slowly opened his eyes, filled with a sparkling light and determination. He felt the powerful force inside his body, and endless joy and excitement surged in his heart. "Master, I've made it." Qin Hao looked excitedly at Qin Feng. Qin Feng smiled and nodded, "Yes, I didn't expect you to successfully cultivate the Yan Emperor's Ding building technique. You should know that among the people of my generation, there are not those who have exceptional talents, but they are not as smooth as you." Qin Hao nodded solemnly, his heart filled with expectations and aspirations for the future. He knows that the difficulties and trials on the path of cultivation are just the beginning, and he will continue to move forward, explore deeper paths of cultivation, and achieve a greater self. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Understanding the world and going out to experience. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next few months. Under the guidance of Qin Feng, Qin Hao learned about the background of this world. The world in which Qin Hao lived was a dynasty called the Yuyun dynasty, which was an ancient and mysterious dynasty that ruled over vast lands and endless people. The establishment of the Yuyun dynasty began hundreds of years ago, when a legendary sage founded this dynasty to pacify troubled times and unify mountains and rivers. At the beginning of the rise of the Yuyun dynasty, the people lived in peace, the country was peaceful, and the people lived and worked in peace and contentment. However, as time passed, evil forces gradually lurked, and the shadow of demons loomed over this land. The internal intrigues and struggles within the court led to the decline and internal turmoil of the dynasty. In the long history of this dynasty, there was once a king known as the Holy Lord, who ruled the country with benevolence and wisdom, bringing the Yuyun dynasty to its peak. However, after the death of the Holy Lord, the government gradually decayed, and evil forces took advantage of the situation, causing the entire dynasty to fall into chaos and turmoil. The division of cultivation realms in this world is extremely important. The cultivators divide the realm of practitioners into 5 levels. Qi refining stage, foundation building stage, alchemy stage, primordial baby stage, and Mahayana stage. The Qi refining period is the threshold for ordinary humans to enter the cultivation stage, where they only cultivate weak magical power and are at the bottom of the cultivation world, allowing others to exploit them. During the foundational period, practitioners begin to come into contact with the path of cultivation, which can condense basic spiritual power, but their strength is limited and they are in the early stages of the path of cultivation. The practitioners of the Jidan period have stronger abilities and are able to cast more powerful spells and techniques, beginning to occupy a place in the cultivation world. The practitioners in the Yuaning period are elites in the cultivation world, possessing strong spiritual and comprehension abilities, and can control the world. As for the Mahayana realm, it is the realm that practitioners aspire to, representing the cultivation of the supreme realm, which can sweep all opponents and reach the peak of cultivation. Qin Feng taught Qin Hao a lot of knowledge and cultivation skills about the world. Qin Feng is a mysterious and powerful existence, a hidden superpower with endless wisdom and power. Master, how powerful are you? Qin Hao couldn't help but ask curiously. Qin Feng smiled, her gaze deep and mysterious. The weight of power is not important, what matters is how to use it. Now that you have successfully cultivated the Yen Emperor's Ding building technique and understood the current state of the world, you have also become a beginner on the path of cultivation. Everything in the future needs to be done by yourself. It is important to note that the master leads the way, and cultivation is personal. You're ready, go out and experience after tonight. Qin Feng nodded thoughtfully, feeling that Qin Feng was not only powerful in power, but also an unparalleled transcendence in realm. He knew that he was far from being compared to Qin Feng, but he would work hard to cultivate in the hope of one day reaching Qin Feng's level. After understanding the world, Qin Feng secretly pondered how to enhance his own strength. He knows that only with enough strength can he survive in troubled times and protect the people he wants to protect. Qin Feng left, and he asked Qin Feng to calm down and face the next journey alone. Qin Feng knew that his master had asked him to leave in order to gain experience and broaden his horizons, so that he could better protect himself when facing enemies. He decided to leave his master's shelter and explore this unknown world. Qin Feng carried a small package on his back, humming a tune while walking down the winding mountain road towards the foot of the mountain. He felt a hint of excitement and anticipation, as he was filled with curiosity and longing for the unknown journey. Walking on the small path in the mountains, Qin Feng's heart was full of ambition and determination. He was determined to rely on his own strength to make a breakthrough and not disappoint his master's expectations. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feng walked through a winding mountain road, crossed a wide river, and arrived at a small town. On both sides of the streets in the small town, quaint wooden buildings and exquisite stone railings are intertwined, adding a touch of nostalgia to this bustling and extraordinary market. The market is concentrated, and various vendors are lined up along the cobblestone road, from fresh fruits and vegetables to handicrafts. The shouting and selling sounds come and go, creating a lively atmosphere. Qin Feng shuttled through the crowd, attracted by the colorful curtains and the fragrance of spices, feeling the unique charm of this small town. Qin Feng walked into an inn. He walked into an antique inn, with exquisite patterns carved on the ancient wooden door, displaying some traces of time, appearing both solemn and inviting. Entering the lobby, he was attracted by the flickering flames and melodious piano music by the fireplace, and decided to stop here for a while. He ordered several local specialties and a pot of locally brewed rice wine, and sat down at a table by the window. Outside the window, the sunset painted the sky with layers of orange and purple, and there were few pedestrians on the street. Occasionally, 3 or 2 pedestrians passed by, and the sound of chatting and laughing drifted in faintly. As he savored the delicious food, the aroma of wine and vegetables intertwined, while admiring the peaceful scenery of the small town outside the window, he felt a rare sense of peace and satisfaction, prepared to take a break before continuing forward. He ordered a few small dishes and a pot of wine, sat by the window, savoring the delicious food while admiring the scenery outside. After eating and drinking enough, Qin Feng returned to the guest room alone to rest. Qin Feng pushed open the old wooden door and saw a room with a classical and charming design. There are landscape paintings hanging on the wall, with free and unrestrained brushstrokes and profound artistic conception, as if they can lead people into the painting so vividly. A pristine white bed curtain hangs down, blocking the night and exuding a hint of lightness and elegance. There is a wooden desk by the window, carved with delicate dragon patterns, a brush hanging on the inkstone, and several rice paper neatly stacked on the side, exuding a sense of elegance. A Buddha statue is placed in the corner, with lowered eyebrows and eyes, and a peaceful expression, adding a touch of divinity and tranquility to this private space. It's truly a room that costs 1 or 2 silver per night. Although this price made Qin Feng feel a slight sigh in his heart, looking around, every detail showed extraordinary attention to detail and luxury, making him feel that it was worth it. In such an environment, his fatigue seemed to sweep away, and a faint sense of satisfaction arose naturally. At night, the outside was pitch black, occasionally mixed with the chirping of night insects, as if telling of endless loneliness and coldness. Qin Hao felt a hint of loneliness and confusion in this alien world, but he was not afraid because he possessed the power of divination. He knew that his future would be incredibly brilliant, and in this unfamiliar world, he would eventually reach the summit. Qin Hao sat cross-legged on the bed, entering a state of inner vision and beginning to cultivate his internal strength. His hands flipped and he constantly changed various gestures, each containing the principles of heaven and earth. Heat flowed through his meridians, constantly nourishing his body and making him feel a sense of comfort and pleasure. The next morning, the crowing of roosters awakened Qin Hao from his sweet dream. He pushed open the window and a ray of fresh air rushed in. In the early morning of the mountains, the air is still slightly moist, making people feel refreshed. Outside the inn, there was a bustling traffic, and the vendors started their new day's business early on, with shouting and selling sounds echoing one after another. The streets are lined with various stalls, including those selling silk fabrics, antiques, and jewelry, which are dazzling. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Entering the Yellow Mansion to treat illness, knowing the demons and harming people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Hao asked the waiter for a simple breakfast and quietly found a place near the window to sit down. As soon as the hot mantou was picked up, a whisper came from the next table, revealing a trace of mystery and fear. He couldn't help but listen, his curiosity drove him to want to learn more about this small town. Have you heard that? A few days ago, Mr. Huang's house was haunted. His son suddenly became crazy, not only behaving strangely, but also rushing to bite when he saw someone. A slightly hoarse voice was lowered, but it was enough to attract Qin Hao's attention. Mr. Huang, named Huang Shiji, is a famous wealthy businessman in this small town. The Huang family has been engaged in the business of medicinal herbs for generations and has accumulated rich family wealth. It is said that the Huang family's mansion houses countless precious antiques and priceless treasures. Mr. Huang is known for his generosity, kindness, and shrewdness, and has a high reputation among the people. Many small-town residents regard him as a reliable and sought-help object. Are you saying that Mr. Huang's son is crazy? Is it true or not? Another person whispered, looking around in fear. It's true. The first person seemed to be interested in his words and continued in a low voice, I heard that Huang Gongzi angered the ghosts and gods and was punished. How could this be possible? My sister-in-law's distant cousin is the captain of the Huang family's nursing home. He personally said, can there be any fake? Qin Hao raised his eyebrows slightly and had a hidden idea in his heart. He decided to visit Mr. Huang's house to explore the truth, which was the first strange thing he encountered while traveling. After inquiring with the waiter about the location of Mr. Huang's house, Qin Hao stepped forward and walked slowly towards the Huang family. The Huang family mansion is towering and located in the southwest corner of the town, surrounded by a tall and sturdy green brick wall, which not only appears to have a long history but also has a hint of mystery. In front of the door, two vividly shaped and lifelike stone lions guard, with bright and lively eyes, resembling living creatures, giving people a solemn and inviolable feeling. The gate of the mansion is tightly closed, with complex patterns carved on it. Two antique lanterns stand on both sides of the door, quietly telling the glory and story of this mansion. Qin Hao knocked on the door of the yellow mansion, only to see a guard dressed in a green shirt peeking out of the door. His gaze was like an eagle, and he looked up and down at Qin Hao before asking, Who are you? Why are you coming to the yellow mansion? Qin Hao remained calm and composed, and replied calmly, I am a wandering cultivator. I have heard that something unusual has happened in your mansion recently, and I am here to investigate. Upon hearing this, the guard frowned slightly and pondered for a moment before coldly saying, Huang Mansion is not something you can easily enter. Let's go. I understand that your mansion is not very convenient at the moment, but I have some experience in warding off evil spirits and demons. Qin Hao did not feel angry at all because the guard's tone was cold. Upon hearing the words, the guardian pondered for a moment before turning around and reporting back to the mansion. Soon, the door opened again, and a middle-aged man dressed in gorgeous silk clothes, tall and imposing, followed the guard. His face retains the handsome silhouette of his youth, although time has etched a little silver on his temples, it adds to his dignity and mature charm. "This is our master," the guard introduced to Qin Hao. "Master, it's this Taoist who claims to be able to exorcise evil and eliminate demons," said the guard to Qin Haogang as he turned to Master Huang. Qin Hao took a step forward and bowed, saying, "Mr. Huang, I have heard that the young master is in trouble. I came here to see what happened and maybe I can help him relieve his worries." Mr. Huang couldn't help but have some doubts when he saw Qin Hao being young and gentle, dressed in a Taoist robe. After all, he was in charge of a huge family business, and he encountered many people and horses in his daily life. However, like the young Taoist in front of him, he volunteered to relieve his worries for the first time. "Taoist, come with me first, let's sit down and chat slowly." Mr. Huang gestured expressionlessly to Qin Hao, but secretly pondered in his heart. "My son has been acting up since a few days ago, not only talking nonsense, but also engaging in aggressive behavior, which has made everyone in the mansion anxious. He invited several renowned doctors to come and see, but couldn't find the crux of the problem. There was really no other way, so he had to rely on this unknown Taoist priest." Mr. Huang sat down on the Grand Tutor's chair, his hands lightly wrapped in his robe, and he let out a deep sigh. "Taoist, I'm not afraid you'll laugh at me. The child's illness has suddenly arrived, and even after seeking famous doctors, it hasn't improved. I really have no choice but to do so," he said with deep helplessness. Qin Hao nodded and asked, "Mr. Huang, what are the specific symptoms of the young master?" Mr. Huang replied, "At first, the child only experienced occasional alternating hot and cold sensations. Later on, he gradually became restless and had hallucinations and auditory hallucinations, such as seeing non-existent people and hearing strange sounds. Moreover, at certain times, his emotions were extremely unstable, and he exhibited aggressive behavior and continued to talk nonsense." Qin Hao remained silent after hearing this. After a moment, he looked up at Mr. Huang and said, "Mr. Huang, your young master must have encountered something unclean. This. Mr. Huang's face changed slightly upon hearing these words, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. "Taoist, are you saying that the child was? What should I do?" Mr. Huang looked nervous and worried. "Don't worry, Mr. Huang. I'll go see the young master and make a decision after seeing him," Qin Hao said. Under the guidance of Mr. Huang, Qin Hao passed through numerous doors, crossed corridors, and entered a secluded courtyard. The courtyard is filled with rare and famous flowers, with a fragrant and refreshing aroma. There is a huge pool in the center, with a fountain splashing and carp leaping. The ancient trees around the pool are towering, and the green grass is lush, creating a scene of contentment. There is a delicate building in the center of the courtyard, which is the temporary residence of the young master after he fell ill. Qin Hao walked quickly into the room and saw that the decoration was luxurious and exquisite, with both luxury and elegance at first glance. Entering the inner room of the room, looking from afar, a young man appeared on the bed with a pale face, sunken eye sockets, and an uncomfortable aura emanating from all over his body. Although his eyes were closed, his eyebrows furrowed, as if he was immersed in some painful memory. Qin Hao walked slowly to the bedside, lifted Huang Gongzi's blanket, and found that his skin was cold all over, his hands and feet were constantly curled up, as if extremely cold, but his forehead was hot. "Taoist, little one?" Huang Laoyi nervously asked as Qin Hao frowned. "Mr. Huang, don't worry, I'll take a closer look later." Qin Hao didn't look up and whispered. Later, Qin Haoyun used the method of Emperor Yan's cauldron construction, mobilizing his internal magic to converge in his eyes. His eyes were as hot as flames, emitting a faint crimson light, as if he could pierce through all darkness and secrets. Suddenly, in the sea of qi in Huang Gongzi's dantian, Qin Hao noticed a strange movement. Upon closer inspection, a faint spiritual light that did not belong to the mortal world flickered. This is not a phenomenon that ordinary illnesses can present, and Qin Hao knew well that there must be demons at work. He continued to observe deeply with his eyes, and finally caught a uniquely shaped creature within Huang Gongzi's veins. A yellow furry little beast, shaped like a mouse, but with a hint of demon in his eyes. It silently swam through the veins of the yellow prince, each movement weakening his spirit and spirit. This little beast is not a natural creature, but a weasel that has become a spirit. However, Qin Hao observed that there is no blood on its body. It should be a weasel that has practiced good laws. It should know the cycle of heaven and not interfere with the order of the human world. How could it cause trouble within Huang Gongzi's body? Qin Hao frowned slightly, wondering why the yellow weasel was lurking inside the body of this young Master Huang. Mr. Huang, we have found the source of the young master's illness. Qin Hao opened his eyes, his gaze fading, and said. Taoist, how is the child doing? Mr. Huang approached eagerly and asked. Mr. Huang, the young master is not sick, but possessed by the weasel spirit, Qin Hao said calmly. Huang. Rat. Wolf. Mr. Huang's face changed and a hint of fear appeared in his eyes. Taoist, are you serious about this? Qin Hao nodded and said, it's like a fake exchange. Seeing Qin Hao's confident expression on his face, Mr. Huang's expression became even more solemn. Taoist, what should we do now? Master, don't worry. Although the weasel spirit is causing trouble in the young master's body, it won't harm his life for a while. Sensing Huang's panic, Qin Hao comforted him. Mr. Huang stood there somewhat stunned, unsure of his solution. Taoist, why did this yellow weasel become possessed by a child? After a while, Mr. Huang asked in confusion. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Harvest the Weasel and Practice Stealth Techniques. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Well. I don't know either. I need to see the real body of that yellow rat wolf spirit to know. Qin Hao shook his head. Taoist, how can I save my child now? Mr. Huang asked urgently. Let's first extract the weasel from the young master's body, Qin Hao whispered. Okay. Mr. Huang nodded, as long as he could save his son, whatever he was asked to do would be fine. Qin Hao took a deep breath and directly activated the Yen Emperor's Ding building technique. The burning power inside his body erupted like a volcano, instantly gathering in his palm. He stared at Huang Gongzi, his voice deep and resolute, your pain is coming to an end. He cursed, his palms slowly opened, and a crimson flame danced in his palms, burning endlessly with anger. This flame is not an ordinary fire, but a divine fire derived from the method of Emperor Yan's cauldron construction, specifically designed to conquer all evil and impure things. The flame and the yellow mouse and wolf spirit inside the Huang Gongzi were like enemies, directly confronting each other. Soon, Huang Gongzi's body began to tremble slightly, and his previously faint spiritual light began to distort and mutate, becoming increasingly unstable. Subsequently, his pale complexion gradually regained its blood color, and the cold sweat on his forehead also gradually disappeared, giving off a glimmer of vitality. The spell in Qin Hao's mouth became more and more urgent, and the flames in his palm kept expanding, almost burning away. Suddenly, a dazzling light burst out from the flames, aimed straight at Huang Gongzi's dantian qi si. The next moment, accompanied by an invisible explosion, the spiritual light inside Huang Gongzi's body instantly cracked. A yellow furry little beast screamed and escaped from his dantian. The weasel spirit immediately appeared, and the scorching sunlight shone directly on its delicate skin. The originally fierce and exceptionally fierce yellow rat wolf spirit became disheveled in an instant, and the fierce aura dissipated from its body. It only let out painful screams and hurriedly ran away with its tail between its legs. Under the power of Emperor Yan's cauldron building technique, the yellow mouse and wolf spirit were unable to bear it and were severely burned by flames. They trembled and knelt down on the ground, obviously extremely afraid. Upon seeing this, Qin Hao's face softened slightly and he asked, "Why do you want to attach yourself to Huang Gongzi?" The weasel spirit choked up and said in a trembling voice, "I have been practicing for 500 years, during which I have never harmed anyone. Instead, I have helped others in times of crisis. I thought I could eventually achieve success. I heard that Huang Gongzi is kind and generous, so I wanted to get along with him and ask him for a title to complete my cultivation." It paused for a moment, with a hint of sadness and hatred flashing in its eyes. "But when I appeared in the gentlest way and only wanted to talk to him and ask for his help, Huang Gongzi killed me out of fear. My years of hard work turned into nothing, and from that moment on, my heart was filled with resentment and a desire for revenge." After listening to this, Qin Hao pondered for a moment before slowly speaking up, "Yellow rat and wolf spirit, although you have resentment, revenge is not the best strategy. Although Huang Gongzi's behavior is out of ignorance and fear, it is not a long-term solution. If you can let go of your hatred, perhaps there is still a chance to reconcile." Seeing the weasel spirit show signs of repentance, Qin Hao's heart moved. He remembered his lifelong kindness and accumulated many virtues, coupled with his impressive strength, he was undoubtedly a huge assistant. Qin Hao pondered for a moment, with a hint of decisiveness in his eyes. He realized that although the weasel spirit harbored hatred, if it could turn enemies into friends, its strength and experience would definitely be a huge help. He took a deep breath, his hands slowly stretched out, and the flames in his palms gradually converged into a faint light surrounding them. He muttered a spell in a low voice and said to the yellow rat and wolf spirit, "Your strength is not weak. If you can come under my command, I can not only save your life, but also help you find a new path of cultivation." After listening attentively, the resentment and fear in the eyes of the weasel were replaced by doubt and hope. It slowly stood up, trembling with a hint of anticipation in its voice. "Is it really possible? Can you accept me?" Qin Hao nodded with a serious expression and said, "I, Qin Hao, will do what I say. But before accepting my help, you must swear that you will only do what is right and not do anything illegal in the future." The yellow rat wolf spirit took a deep breath and finally nodded in agreement. Qin Hao immediately activated his magic and unleashed his extraordinary ability to act as a scapegoat for the tiger. His palm light grew stronger and stronger, slowly annihilating the body of the yellow rat wolf spirit, forming a rune halo surrounding it. The runes inside the halo rotate incessantly, as if making some kind of contract. After a moment, the halo dissipated, and the eyes of the yellow mouse and wolf spirit became firm. He bowed deeply to Qin Hao, expressing his loyalty. Qin Hao smiled slightly, with a hint of relief and satisfaction. He knew he had just received an extraordinary assistant. At this moment, Qin Hao not only successfully dispelled the evil within Huang Gongzi's body, but also obtained a powerful ghost along the way. His path seems to have widened a bit as a result. After placing the yellow weasel spirit, Qin Hao turned around and looked at Mr. Huang with a smile, comforting him. "Mr. Huang, the yellow weasel spirit in Mr. Huang's body has been cleared. I believe such incidents will not happen again in the future, and your son will also be safe and sound." Seeing the disappearance of the yellow rat wolf spirit and the improvement of his own son's condition, Mr. Huang was extremely grateful. He eagerly handed Qin Hao a stack of silver notes and said, "Thank you for your great kindness. Please accept it." Qin Hao declined for a moment, but when Huang Laoyi insisted on giving it away, he simply accepted with a smile. Mr. Huang took out several more spiritual medicines and handed them to Qin Hao, including 2,000-year-old ginseng and 1,000-year-old snow lotus. The rest were all 100-year-old spiritual medicines. These old spiritual medicines may be helpful for the Taoist's cultivation, so let's give them together to the Taoist. Thank you, Mr. Huang. Qin Hao did not refuse. He now needs these spiritual medicines to help him nourish his body. However, I hope Mr. Huang can agree to this. Taoist, please speak up. As long as I can do it, I will do my best, said Mr. Huang eagerly. Please let Mr. Huang quietly spread this matter, just say that the young master of the Huang family was haunted by demons and ultimately rescued by me. Qin Hao said solemnly, don't reveal the details of the yellow rat and wolf spirit, just give a rough idea. Qin Hao has his own plan, and what he needs is not only to restore his vitality, but also to accumulate reputation. In this chaotic era, reputation is the foundation of one's existence. If he can take this opportunity to establish his own reputation, his future path will be even easier. Mr. Huang was puzzled, but he thought of the Taoist's ability and nodded, agreeing, okay, I will definitely find a way to spread this matter. After dealing with everything, Qin Hao left Mr. Huang to take care of his son and embarked on a new journey with his newly recruited ghost. The yellow rat wolf spirit. Qin Hao returned to the inn and began to contemplate his next plan. He sat cross-legged on the bed, contemplating quietly. Although the abilities of the yellow rat and wolf spirit, as well as the ability to act as a ghost for the tiger, are powerful, relying solely on them is not enough in this chaotic world. The ability of divination does not seem to be easily triggered, and there seems to be a high threshold. If I want to go further and make a career, I still need to work harder to improve my strength. Qin Hao made up his mind. After meditating, he began to consider how to unleash the power of the yellow mouse wolf spirit. Qin Hao called the weasel spirit to his eyes and asked, what martial arts have you practiced? The weasel spirit hesitated for a moment. He knew he was facing his master and also a lifesaver, so he began to slowly recount his cultivation journey. Before becoming a weasel spirit, I was an ordinary weasel. By chance, I swallowed the remains of some cultivators and gained the opportunity to practice. I practiced a technique called shadow stealth technique, which excels at concealment and speed, making me almost invisible in the shadows, even able to travel thousands of miles in a blink of an eye. In addition, I also learned some basic magic techniques, which can use some simple attack and defense skills in battles. However, my proudest ability is my self-created phantom and shadow. This is a skill further developed based on shadow stealth, which can create multiple illusions to confuse opponents, while hiding my true body in the dark and giving them a fatal blow. This ability has helped me escape the pursuit of many powerful enemies in my past career. After hearing this, Qin Hao's eyes flashed with interest. He is naturally very interested in such skills. If one can combine the shadow stealth and phantom of the yellow rat wolf spirit with their own abilities, it will undoubtedly further enhance their combat effectiveness. Yellow rat and wolf spirit, are you willing to teach me these techniques? Qin Hao opened his heart and asked. Taoist, although the techniques I cultivate are not top-notch, they have all been honed through countless trials and tribulations, and the improvement in concealment and speed is very significant. As long as Taoist is willing, I am willing to teach you all of shadow stealth and phantom and mistake without reservation. The weasel spirit said firmly. Qin Hao nodded, feeling the sincerity of the yellow mouse and wolf spirit. Immediately, he sat up straight and prepared to receive the teachings of the martial arts. The yellow mouse and wolf spirit began to tell the introductory techniques of shadow stealth technique, the secrets of the technique, and each sentence was incredibly crucial. Qin Hao, on the other hand, listened attentively and comprehended with all his heart. Although he has not fully understood the source and essence of supernatural abilities, he can feel that his supernatural abilities should belong to a kind of driving force that can be combined to exert its characteristics. As time passed, Qin Hao gradually touched the threshold of shadow stealth, and his body began to glow slightly, surrounded by a hidden aura. Then, the yellow mouse wolf spirit told Qin Hao the secret technique of phantom and mist. Qin Feng remained calm and focused on experiencing the mystery of emptiness, reality, and authenticity. Under the guidance of the yellow rat and wolf spirit, Qin Feng's cultivation gradually improved. He not only mastered the basic essentials of the martial arts, but also miraculously combined with his supernatural powers, further enhancing his abilities. After practicing, Qin Feng felt that his concealment skills and body techniques had made rapid progress, and this enhancement was undoubtedly a great help in the future chaotic world. He expressed his gratitude to the Weasel for his refinement. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Battle of the Grinding Will Demon, Breaking Through the Method of Building Cauldrons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Practice has no time, and Qin Feng and the Weasel have been practicing for 7 days. If it weren't for Qin Feng's advanced greeting with the shopkeeper, he might have caused some trouble. After in-depth communication and cultivation with the yellow rat wolf spirit, Qin Feng felt very satisfied with this ability. He was very happy to have gained so much from himself and was even more determined to stand firm in this chaotic world. At this moment, there were faint sounds of people and footsteps outside, as if someone was searching for them. Qin Feng gestured to the yellow mouse and wolf spirit not to act recklessly, while he pushed the door open and walked out. Outside the door, there were several villagers wearing coarse cloth clothes. When they saw Qin Feng, their faces immediately showed joy. Taoist. We have finally found you. Village chief, please go immediately and discuss important matters, said a villager. Oh. What's the matter with the village chief? Did he mention it? Qin Feng asked. The village chief didn't specify this, he just asked us to invite you over immediately, the villager replied. Qin Feng frowned slightly, but seeing the sincere expression of the villagers, a hint of curiosity also surged in his heart. Okay, lead the way ahead, Qin Feng sighed lightly. The villagers saw Qin Feng agree, and their smiles became even stronger. Taoist, this way, please. Qin Feng let the weasel spirit enter his body first, and then followed the villagers through the small alleys in the village, walking towards the village chief's residence. Taoist, please. The villagers stopped at the door and let Qin Feng go first. Qin Feng nodded and walked into the house. As soon as he stepped into the door, he noticed something was wrong. A faint smell of blood permeated the air, mixed with incense. If it weren't for Qin Feng's keen senses, it would be almost imperceptible. Village chief, the road chief is here, said a villager. Oh, Taoist, you've come. A chubby middle-aged man hurriedly walked out of the inner hall, it was Hao Fugui. Hao Fugui quickly stepped forward, but his step seemed a bit heavy, as if his injuries were hidden. Taoist, I heard from Mr. Huang in the town that you have extraordinary abilities and are skilled in defeating demons and demons. Please do me a favor. I am willing to offer you 100 taels of gold, and I hope you can help me. Hao Fugui burst into tears. Village chief, I'm here to help the villagers, so naturally you have to do the same. But before that, could you please tell me what exactly happened? Qin Feng asked. Okay, let me be frank. There's a demon at home that's causing trouble. Taoist, you need to help me get rid of it. Hao Fugui said anxiously. Demons. Qin Feng's eyebrows twitched slightly, feeling that things were not simple. Village chief, could you take me to see that demon first? No problem. Hao Fugui quickly led the way. The two of them walked around several corridors and arrived at a quiet courtyard. The courtyard gate was tightly closed, and Hao Fugui pushed the door open with one hand and covered his chest with the other, waiting for Qin Feng to enter together. Ah! Suddenly, a scream came from the courtyard. Qin Feng and Hao Fugui's faces changed as they rushed into the courtyard almost simultaneously. Qin Feng's pupils suddenly shrank, and the scene before him made him furrow his brows. An old man in rags was curled up on the ground, covered in blood, scattered with broken talismans and old magic tools beside him. Hao Fugue followed closely behind and kicked away a broken wooden stake as he rushed in. He covered his chest and loudly asked, "Old Lu, what's wrong with you?" The old man seemed to be awakened by the sudden sound, gasping for breath and struggling to stand up, hoarsely shouting, "Monster! It's here! Damn it, what exactly happened?" Hao Fugue looked at Qin Hao, his eyes full of confusion and fear. Although Qin Hao was cautious, he lacked no courage at all. He crouched down and whispered to the old man, "Don't be afraid, tell me, where is the monster?" Almost at the same time, a black mist descended from the sky, transforming into a huge stone mill, frantically pressing towards Qin Hao. Qin Hao threw away Hao Fugue and Lao Lu too as quickly as possible. Bang! The stone mill fell to the ground with a loud bang, and the earth shook along with it. How dangerous! Qin Hao felt lingering fear and looked towards the stone mill. Jie. You're still a master. A sharp and somewhat immature voice came from the stone mill. What the hell? How did the stone mill talk? Qin Hao widened his eyes in surprise. Little child, your parents didn't even teach you. Do you see the old man shouting? The stone mill slowly turned, and the black mist gradually dissipated, revealing a short dwarf. The dwarf is only 4 feet tall, wearing a blue robe and holding an ebony cane. His most prominent feature is his silver hair and wrinkled face, which looks at least 70 or 80 years old. What kind of old man are you? You're just a monster, Hao Fugue said angrily. Qin Hao frowned tightly and stared at the dwarf in front of him. He felt a sense of vigilance in his heart, as this seemingly small and harmless old man exuded a sinister aura. He does not underestimate his opponents, because in other worlds, seemingly weak entities often conceal powerful forces. What exactly are you? Qin Hao suppressed his nervousness and tried to remain calm. Later, Qin Hao urged Emperor Yan to build a cauldron, mobilize his spiritual power, and release divine fire to charge towards the dwarf old man. Little ones who don't know what to do, how dare they be so arrogant? The dwarf old man snorted coldly, changing a cane in his hand and suddenly waving it. A black wind blew towards him. Boom! Several stone spikes instantly formed and fiercely stabbed Qin Hao. Qin Hao didn't expect this old man to be so agile. He couldn't react and the wall beside him was pierced by a stone with a click sound. At a moment when Qin Hao was caught off guard, the old man's face showed a fierce expression, turning into a grinding stone and pressing towards Qin Hao. Not good. Qin Hao felt a great sense of crisis. This stone mill is suppressed like a mountain, and as long as it is hit, it can be lightly or seriously injured, or even crushed into flesh and mud. The stone mill spun rapidly, stirring up a gust of wind and roaring towards Qin Hao. Bang! Like a small mountain pressing down on him. Qin Hao gritted his teeth and could only desperately dodge to the side. He wanted to wave his arms to resist, but unfortunately, the power of the stone mill was too great, and he could only watch helplessly as it pressed down. Jie. Go to hell. The old man laughed, and the wrinkles on his face seemed to jump with joy. Damn it. Qin Hao cursed and quickly activated the Yan Emperor's cauldron building technique. His spiritual power wrapped around flames and transformed into a large cauldron, suspended in mid-air. Bang! The stone mill collided with the big cauldron, and under the immense pressure, Qin Hao could only bend his knee, kneel on one knee, and his spine bent, sinking into the ground. Poochie! Qin Hao, unable to resist the immense pressure, spat out a mouthful of blood. Qin Hao felt unprecedented pressure, his face pale as paper, but a flame of indomitable flame burned in his eyes. He knew that at this moment, he couldn't fall, he couldn't show weakness, he had to control his own destiny. Do you think this can overpower me? Qin Hao gritted his teeth, his voice weak but full of determination. The dwarf old man squinted his eyes as if admiring Qin Hao's struggle. He sneered, "Kid, you're really stubborn, but there's always something in this world that you can't resist." Qin Hao did not answer. His spiritual power surged out like a volcanic eruption, forming a vortex of flames around his body. The scorching breath even twisted the surrounding air. The second layer of Yan Emperor's Cauldron technique. Yan Emperor's Purgatory. Qin Hao shouted loudly, and his body suddenly burst into a dazzling light, a force that almost burned everything. At this critical moment, Qin Hao unexpectedly broke through to the second layer of Yan Emperor's Cauldron technique. The dwarf old man's face finally changed. He didn't expect Qin Hao to be able to improve his strength in such a situation. He quickly swung his cane, wanting to launch another attack, but his movements were noticeably slow by half a beat. "It's too late." Qin Hao's voice was as if coming from the depths of hell, full of shock. The power of Emperor Yan's purgatory collided with the stone mill, emitting a deafening roar. The power of flames and grinding stones counterbalances each other, and the air is filled with sparks and gravel. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.